Hi everyone. I can't find my tripod, which is why you're having to put up with this angle. I live in a pigsty, and I have all my life been like that. I tend to just drop things wherever I last was using them, and then things sort of accumulate in heaps. And my dad said when I had an accident a couple of years ago, I was run over by a motorbike, so I was laid up in bed with a broken leg. And I could not move to get things for myself. And my dad said that in spite of that, objects seemed to accumulate around me in a sort of nest, like a kind of magpie's nest with all kinds of treasures and sparklies around me. And he said that he couldn't understand how it was happening. Um, anyway, so now, for years and years and years, people told me to get help to clean my room. And now I have a cleaning staff that wake me up, throw me out of the room, and clean the room. And what the result for me, at least, is that I can't find anything. Which is always what messy people complain about when they have their rooms cleaned. And I don't think it's a reason not to have your room cleaned. But at the moment, my tripod is a casualty of this phenomenon. So I'm here to talk to you today about interacting online because in the course of being active in the campaign with Marianne Williamson, but also just I used to be a editor on Wikipedia and an editor on Discogs because I was really into music and I've had years of experience just talking to strangers online about different things. And actually, I would say that the music industry is more charged, divided, and hostile than the political arena. Because I find the trolls now not as bad as in that kind of. Because the thing is, music enthusiasts are very nerdy. And by nerdy, I mean they really care about the details, the barcode on the record and the matrix number, the runout line number, something like that. Anyway, all of this stuff, and they can be rude about it if you get it wrong. Anyway. What I'm attempting to do at the moment, as I'm rambling, is I'm attempting to present my credentials for why I'm qualified to talk about how to talk to people online. So basically, what I'm saying is if you already think that you know how to talk to people online, then don't worry about this video. But I have noticed a couple of things since I've been doing this. Now, I'm in a special position, or I'm in a privileged position in that I'm Canadian. So when I'm talking about American politics, because I have no skin in the game, I can be a little bit more detached when interacting about these things because it's not so personal. And I notice that I avoid getting into political arguments with Canadians because I feel so strongly about certain things because they're personal, which is funny because I don't actually live in Canada, but whatever, it's in the blood or whatever. I get identified, I get my sense of identity is really in it, my ego. And so I get all worked up. And so basically, there's a couple of techniques. Yes, I want to just talk about some techniques and also for interacting with people, especially when you're discussing, if you want to promote a candidate like Marianne Williamson, first of all, remember that all bad press is good press. So if Marianne Williamson has a lot of trolls on her video, don't take that too personally, and it's actually a good sign. The second thing is learn to recognize the difference between a troll bot and a paid troll. Because a troll bot is someone who just goes on and goes crazy lady and then leaves, and you never hear from them again. And a paid troll, is actually sometimes they're a little bit trained in psychology and how to make you feel like crap. So they will use that. Now, the unfortunate aspect of that they're not thinking of is that doesn't make you want to vote for who they're talking about. It just puts you in a bad mood. But so, what I would say about those people is the kind of paid trolls is if you really care about the issue, like if it's about vaccinations or it's about the Department of Children and Youth, then go ahead and argue, but just present information that you know, and don't get sucked into stuff, because they're gonna say stuff. They're gonna say stuff like, "Oh, you're so stupid. You should get an education," or like they know how to push buttons, and don't get sucked into that just for your own sanity, for one. And second of all, it's actually not going to help, Marianne, for you to engage in name calling. Although, I mean, arguably it could, because then the comments section gets huge. You know, if there's a flame war on a video, it tends to go up in views. But I think that's not really. I don't think Marianne would want us to be getting into nasty discussions for her. But that's not to say that we just roll over it. But remember to present the information, whatever it is that you know, the reason why you disagree with what they say. Go back to that and then present that information. And if it is a topic that you don't care about, for instance, I was never that passionate about the vaccination issue. I don't really know enough about it. I don't know about the anti-vax movement. I don't know that much about vaccinations, about the science. There are people arguing about it who claim that they do. My only feeling about it is that I hate needles, and that's really just my gut reaction to the whole thing. But if I was, I said to somebody in the campaign, if I'm an anti-vaxxer, it's not a moral issue. It's just that I don't like being poked with stuff. But I think I'm vaccinated for some stuff, though. I just don't remember what it is now. Anyway, mandated vaccinations, yes. So for me, I never got into arguing about it that much, because it's not my pet issue, and I think you can just let stuff go. Like if someone goes on and they're saying that an anti-vaxxer is really dangerous, or if they're saying, look, also people have the right to be passionate about their issue and make their conclusions about it. My main goal in commenting on Marianne Williamson videos and in commenting in groups on Facebook or social media is to encourage people to know more, not to necessarily convince them to like Marianne Williamson. That's not my job, and I don't think it's really how democracy should work anyway. I don't think we should be brainwashing each other. I think that it's really just to give everyone as much information, because, and especially in this climate, the information that's being presented by the media is very slanted. It's very weighted in favor of one candidate or another, and I feel like our job as regular citizens is really just to balance that a bit more, but we don't have to turn on each other in the process. And so, my advice when now there's all the rest of the people. Now, one thing to remember is that you don't know when you're walking into an interaction whether someone is a troll or not. And if you go in hostile, you can't really go back on that. So I would advise going in with the assumption, actually, go with a fully arrogant assumption that everyone is friendly. Knowing that, there's a possibility that they might not be, but I would approach every interaction like that, and be nice, and give them a couple of strikes, like if they're being kind of rude or kind of hostile or kind of confrontational or critical, just critical of Marianne, then give a couple of strikes and just present some information and hey, I mean, I have found being appreciative can be first of all, I like doing that. I like being appreciative. I like the feeling of loving other human beings for itself, but also it's effective in terms of bringing it all a little bit further, kind of calmer down, and then actually I find in that environment more information comes out and people are more intelligent. People are tend to be quite stupid when they're name calling and worked up, including me. I, as recently as a month ago, I was still kind of getting into these fights, flame wars almost, with people online because they would invariably say something, and in some cases, this would have been like paid trolls, I suspect. I was getting into these interactions which were making me inordinately irate, I would say, and probably the other person as well, and probably anyone else watching the interaction, and because I was too personally, emotionally identified with Marianne Williamson as if I knew her personally. I don't know her. I don't know her from Adam. I have been spending a lot of time watching her videos. Now, this is something you have to be careful about online connections, is that you can feel a lot of simulated emotions about someone. This is a separate issue, though. But, honestly, everyone has the right in America, in a free democracy, to choose the candidate that appeals to them. And it's not anyone's job to try and force someone else to be to find that candidate appealing if they don't. But I'm kind of interested in the people who have progressive values who may not know that Marianne Williamson has progressive policies that match those values, and also I think that Marianne Williamson's Department of Peace is an incredible idea, and I also think that we may as well just start doing it now as members of her whatever fan club, campaign, whatever you want to call it. I'm not on the payroll. I'm Canadian. I'm just inspired by this whole phenomenon. Um, we may as well start practicing peace now and lead by example because why wait? And I think that our first test of that is interacting with people online who don't understand who Marianne Williamson is or what her policies are, and I think that it's really important to remember when you're going into an interaction with a unknown name on a screen that it might not be a troll, and the value of someone who isn't a troll, even just as a human being, but even if it's a paid troll, that's still a human being, but is so much greater than the value of calling them some name, um, or scoring a point. Because I feel like that's also what Marianne Williamson is talking about. They keep trying to drag her into. I mean, she has said stuff about Trump that is, I would say, true, but also, like, not complimentary. But but she does not like to get dragged into these, like, well, how are you gonna debate Donald Trump? And her point is very, very valid, which is that her conversation is with the American people, which is kind of the point, actually, of debates and of a campaign. It's actually for a conversation to happen between candidates and the people. It's not really supposed to be a boxing match that we're all watching and betting on and voting for and then getting into fights with each other because uh, you know it because then that's divisive anyway. um, so yes, remember that everyone out there is people, and and also remember that if someone is attracting a large number of troll bots, that is actually an indication of traction. So remember that as you're going into any interaction. And there's a lot of, if you're seeing a comment that says, woo woo crystal lady, you don't really have to respond to that. Because, first of all, it's probably a troll bot. Second of all, when an argument is so ridiculous that it's absurd on the face of it, you don't really need to give it more credence by going into that and saying like, oh, she's not into crystals. I mean, and like they know that they're just looking for, they're trying to get in there. And what is it Brian Rose says? Be an irritant. They're trying to get in there and be an irritant, which they're good at doing. But you don't have to be irritated just because they're doing that. So yeah. Oh, damn it! I have a point to make. Yes, Department of Peace. Let's do it now. A lot of the problem with the Department of Peace that people, the critics of it have, is that is largely stems from the fact that the world has not known much peace, and so we have trouble picturing what that would be like because we can't go. There's no real precedent for it, so we can't really go by history. But I feel like it's fun and intriguing to practice peaceful interactions in interactions that might otherwise become contentious. And this would be an example in a microcosmic way of how a Department of Peace might function, actually. So I think that's a good place to stop this video. Department of Peace, let's do it now. Let's get the ball rolling. Love you all. I'm going to upload this. Blessed be.